Welcome, everyone, to MS Confidential today, where we host monthly gatherings and candid conversations about life with multiple sclerosis and other chronic illnesses. By default, we often get audience members that have a whole variety of chronic illnesses, and I think we relate to each other through these experiences. Today, specifically, we're going to be letting off steam. As our panelists have expressed, and many of you know, living with multiple sclerosis often means managing the emotions that come not only with the disease, from the disease itself, but how others engage with us as a result of the effects of MS. While we do our best to meet each experience with grace, sometimes we just have to vent, which is exactly what we're going to be doing today. If any of you feel like joining in on the venting, please write your vents in the comments and I will read them out loud. Maybe I can even add some exclamation points for you in my, however I read them, or we'll have the panelists read them out loud. I'm going to just give brief introductions on our regular panelists today because we have a really cool thing happening. Today we have two new guests. So of course, we have Elizabeth Jamieson, the director of MS Confidential and Human Extraordinaire. We have Kyle Kronick, and well, everybody loves Kyle. So we're so happy he's with us every month. We have Annie Brewster, who continues to astound us with everything she offers to our community and beyond. And we have me. I'm here to kind of keep the conversation going. Our guests today, Katie Roberts. Welcome, Katie. Katie's diagnostic journey began in 2010 at the young age of 25 years old with the sudden loss of vision in her right eye. The neuro-ophthalmologist told her that optic neuritis is a precursor for MS and she should get an MRI, but instead she filed it away into a black hole of suppression and pretended she didn't hear it. I think we can probably all raise our hands and relate to that. Almost exactly 1 year later, she was diagnosed quickly with MS from more visible onset of symptoms, including inability to walk, vertigo, and went on to drastically change not only her lifestyle, but her career as well. Katie has been in healthcare for over 10 years and is a physician recruiter for a nationwide pediatric group and loves every minute of it. Alongside caring for her 6-year-old son with her husband, she also volunteers with the national, did I get that right? National MS Society, and is currently advocating for O'Hare International Airport in Chicago to incorporate the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Program. Katie, we are so happy you joined us today. This is just
I'm happy to be here.
Welcome. And last but not least, we have Stan. Stan, who actually met Elizabeth Jamieson earlier this year, and I think it was love at first sight. So Stan actually lives in California, but resided in Colorado Springs for a stint and was diagnosed 14 years ago at 40 years old. He was in the Army Reserves before that, actually right after high school, ended up in active duty during the Iraq War. He has been married for 24 years and has 2 children and 3 stepchildren. He and his wife started a 3D ultrasound imaging business in 2006. While his wife mainly runs the business on the ultrasound side, Stan manages their rental properties. And this is a full-time gig for him, but so is MS. Yeah. And in his own words, Stan says, MS sucks big time. So I think that's actually a great way for us to segue into this episode. We are going to just let off some steam. And I think probably one of the best ways to let off steam is to just start with how we're doing today. Let's just, whoever wants to jump in and tell me what's going on today.
I was having a great day. And then MS just started messing with me. All the symptoms drive me crazy. Losing my mind here. Trying not to.
You can lose your mind with us, because
What's that?
you can lose your mind by talking with us.
Oh no, y'all keep me sleeping.
Yeah, because I routinely lose my mind. So
What does that mean?
I just returned. Oh,
Go ahead, Katie.
I was gonna say I just went to DC on a work trip over the weekend and thought I was feeling better. I got back on late Monday. I rested all day Tuesday, and it just takes long to recover after travel. And so, not feeling 100%. Which when do I ever? But like, definitely not today.
What does that mean? I just want it before you guys jump into Elizabeth or Katie, you talk about not feeling 100%. Kyle, your symptoms driving you crazy today, losing your mind. Tell me a little more specific. Like, what is that? Like, what was the moment when your symptoms started to drive you crazy today, Kyle?
Specifically, everything I seem to pick up, I drop. And after dropping the 20th thing while in my wheelchair and rolling away, and just wanted to throw this shit against the wall and go to sleep.
Do you throw anything at the wall?
I do not. I refrain from that stuff.
Annie, do you ever throw anything at the wall?
I'm trying to think if I've ever done that. I think I have, like, but a long time ago, because it was in an organized kind of fun way. Like, let's throw these bottles at this brick wall and watch them break, because we're, why not? Because we're frustrated and we can, and we have the wall. But, other times in my past, I've gone to like the batting cage.
Oh yeah.
When I feel frustrated.
That's constructive.
Yeah, and then just hitting the ball can help. Yeah, for me, I feel today, I feel okay. I feel tired. I did not sleep well. I was like uncomfortable all night, tossing, turning. And so from when I'm tired is, I'm pretty fortunate in that I don't have a ton of symptoms, but when I'm tired is exactly when they present themselves. And it's mostly like a little vertigo, a little left leg, feeling like it's not working right, or kind of disembodied. And for me, it just makes me feel anxious and like I want to like shake it off, and I can't, and it's following me around and I don't like it.
what do you do?
Sometimes I'll say to, like, if I'm with someone who's close to me, like if they rub my leg, it helps me like to feel like more connected to it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I'll have someone rub my leg, or honestly, like sometimes if it's evening, I'll just be like, I'll have a drink because I want to turn it off, which is not a good necessarily coping mechanism, but I stop after one, but I will do that sometimes. So yeah, but anyway, I love venting, but I find I'm as I'm starting this conversation, I recognize that like it's hard for me. Like, I think one of my big coping mechanisms is to like put blinders on and be like, I'm strong and I'm gonna, and that doesn't always work. But I, like, my daughter was getting a little sick, and I was like, don't say that. You're not gonna get sick. Be positive. Have some zinc tablets. And I do believe there's some power in like believing in that, but not always. But it's not a comfortable zone for me, I guess, to be like, I feel like shit and I'm miserable and I'm sick. I have a hard time with that. Anyway.
Anyone else? I raise my hand to that. I have a hard time with it.
I have a very hard time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about it this morning, and I was thinking it even goes back to like feeling like my needs won't get met if I vent, because it's like, as a little girl, you're like, if you have a temper tantrum,
right,
you actually get isolated, you get shut out. If you're like, if you have a lofty conclusion to your emotions and everything's wrapped up in a nice tidy bow, then you might get some love and affection. But then you end up, compromising your own emotional state too. So I can relate, Annie.
Yeah, no, and like I'll say, like I'm doing therapy right now, psychotherapy, which I'm finding really, I mean, I've done it many times in my past, but this is a new one. And it's called internal family systems. So it's really like looking at your parts and your past. Anyway, what we've been talking about a lot is that it's like very hard for me actually to to give myself what I need before I think about everyone else around me. What do you need? What do you need? How can I help you? And I don't do a very good job of taking care of myself. Like it's very hard for me to actually, it feels selfish.
Mhm.
I'm working on that, but it feels selfish, which I think is shitty.
Yep.
Yeah, you need to treat yourself.
Treat
I know.
yourself.
You got to give me lessons, Kyle. Maybe you're good at that. Are you good at that?
I'm learning because I'm the same way. Like I try to focus on other people's needs before my own, and
Yeah.
I'm realizing that's not healthy.
It's not. And I can vent about that. I can vent about how annoying it is that no one's cooking me dinner and I'm doing everything. And no one takes care of me, but I kind of set it up a little maybe. So I'll take some responsibility. But
Yeah, you got it. You're a doctor. You got into the helping profession. Stan, I want to hear
No,
from you. How are you doing today?
I was going to say, I'll find myself in that same situation as far as I saw the last MS Confidential, and I believe it was titled, I Care, You Care, We Care, kind of like that. And I find myself all the time not wanting any assistance, and I need it so badly, but I don't want to help, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah.
Is that people in your environment, do they rise to the occasion?
Yes, I live with my daughter. I only have one child. My wife and I had one child when I was first diagnosed. After a few years, we weren't going to have any kids. And then we decided, I think I was like 35. We said, well, we're going to do it. We better do it now because I'm not dogging 40-year-olds. I'm not dogging 50-year-olds, but I don't want to have no kids at 40 or 50.
No.
Just physically where I thought I would be then, but obviously MS wasn't even on the radars then. And then after I was diagnosed, we absolutely decided not to have any more after that. Because again, I just wanted to be so involved with my child. Like, and I have a daughter now, and she's fantastic, wonderful. It's just my wife and myself and my daughter that live in the house. I have 3 stepchildren that live outside the house. And I think you said in the intro, my wife and I started a 3D 4D ultrasound business in 2006. So this was obviously before I was diagnosed. And my oldest stepdaughter, she works for us in the business, and she's great and everything. But if you haven't been a step parent before, that alone is a challenge.
It is. I second that, Stan. I love it, but it's challenging.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
And then managing your symptoms on top of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can I ask, and you don't have to answer, but I'm curious both for Stan and Katie, just because I don't know you guys, like Stan says his MS sucks. Tell me what sucks. I want to know more about like how it manifests in your life. Because it helps me to know you.
And
I was going to say, mine's probably my inability to do things. I was an athlete in school. So in high school, I played basketball, I ran track. I did a lot of things that I couldn't even dream of doing right now, what I used to do and stuff. So that part just sucks. Just getting, obviously heat's not my friend. I used to love the sun, but now the sun's not my friend anymore. Used to be, but not anymore. And I think it's just that for me, it's definitely the ability to get out there and just do things, especially on my feet, that I can't do anymore. So that for me, that just sucks. Because I want to get out there. I want to get out there and run. I want to get out there, do these things. My wife and I had bicycles. And like I said, we were in a 2-story home. So that's when we decided to move. a few years afterwards, because I was utilizing the house as an exercise program, which was very cool. 'Cause we had like, I want to say we had like maybe like 23 steps to get to the top floor and down. So I would do that like all the time on a regular basis, just trying to make sure I'm staying mobile. And then after about the I don't know, maybe the 5th or 6th year after I was diagnosed, that's when it started becoming an issue. So I was like, dang,
Yeah.
just wanting to still be in that mode, you know, but just being realistic as well. So we moved a few years later. It was very fortunate. We didn't have to sell it. We didn't have to sell our home. We were able to turn to a rental property. And that's what I was saying. We started the business. My wife pretty much just, I don't even know what's going on in the business. She just runs that side, but I take care of all. We own 4 rental properties, so I just handle that. But that's all by phone. So I don't have to get there and do it anymore either, stuff like that. So we can just still, you know, mix it up there. But it's just that that mindset also of just being thankful and grateful, even though this sucks. I know it could be so much worse.
Yeah. But it's
Dan,
frustrating.
can
It
I
does
ask-
suck.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Dan,
Elizabeth.
may I ask you how MS has affected your self-esteem?
Oh, just tore it up. Just because my inability to do the simplest things I used to be able to do before, I can't do anymore. So that's like, that just sucks.
So complain to me. I want you, what do you really have trouble coping with? What do you want to bitch about? Or not?
Well, I'm sure most of us, if not all of us that have MS, understand you can't do, and I know I can't do what I used to do, but I still want to do it.
Yeah.
And that side that just sucks. And
I
I
still feel
know,
like that person that can do that. So
Yeah.
battling that duality of
yeah.
it's daily.
Elizabeth,
And I would say, oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
We talk over each other all the time. Go ahead, Katie.
I was gonna say, to Elizabeth's question, I don't think that it affected my self-esteem. It affected my pride. Definitely my pride, because I bit the bullet and got a mobility scooter, this past summer, because I was gonna be doing stuff, but like I put it, you know, where I'm like, I don't need it. No, I'll be fine. I'll just do it. And then it's like, we're taking the kids to go trick-or-treating at the zoo tomorrow. And it's literally on top of a mountain. Like me going and doing that, it's hiking, and I can't hike anymore. So I'm like, but then all the kids are going to want to ride it. And like, I don't, you know, then I'm like, maybe I just won't bring it. And then I'm like, no, you have to bring it. That's why you have it. So it's like this prideful thing. Like, I don't want my other friends haven't seen me on it yet. Like, I'm not ready for them to see me on it yet. And so for me, at least, it's like, no, I'm good. But really, I'm not.
Do you end up sucking it up a lot? Do you find yourself kind of like wishing in your head, oh, I wish I brought that, but I'm just going to fucking deal with it?
Yeah, because I should have brought it with me to the conference, because O'Hare Airport is going to be the death of me. That airport is
It's
huge.
horrible.
And I'm from Chicago, like I'm familiar with it, but you know, gates are always changing, and then you don't find out until you're all the way there, and then it's all the way on the other side. So it's all this additional walking that I don't want to do. And that's really what pushed me over the edge, was all of that additional walking. But if I wasn't too proud to bring my scooter, then I could have just opened it up and zipped right around, but I didn't. So I'm like mad at myself that I didn't do that. But then, you know, it's a vicious cycle of beating myself up and accepting it.
I'm interested in the difference. I mean, I understand the difference, I think, between pride and self-esteem, but there's an interplay there. But can you say more about how you separate them? Like your self-esteem, like how do you separate them?
Well, I feel like I'm still a confident person. Like that part of me hasn't changed. But I would say it's more my pride that takes a hit, because I'm worried about how I'll be perceived. So me having these conversations and trying to explain this to my husband before I got the scooter, you know, I was like, well, I'm young and I look able-bodied. Like, I don't want to be judged. I don't want people to look at me and be like, why is she in a scooter? Like, clearly she's fine. And, you know, just the looks and stuff like that. And I went and did it at O'Hare and I did it at Disney, which was like the biggest thing for me to do. And, you know, whether or not we like it, if you have a mobility issue, there is judgment. There's always judgment. People are either scared or they just don't want to engage. They don't understand it, or they're like, nothing's wrong with you. So I worry about how I'm perceived.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
I hear that. And there will always be those shitty, judgy people, but
Yeah.
they can go fuck themselves.
Think the
I
worst.
I try to think that, and I think that, but then
It's
you know,
easier said than done.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we all are our worst critic. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's interesting in the place where I work out, the spinal cord injury center, and there's a woman there who has MS. She has chronic progressive disease, and she is so unstable. It really scares me. I see her, she's tripping and she's gonna work out and she's gonna do it. And I said, you know, are you sure you're okay to drive? Yes, I can drive, I can do everything. And she can't. But I don't talk to her about that because I want the same thing. I was too prideful. I was too scared. So I wasn't going to have my wheelchair. And finally, my neurologist said, look, you need to be in a wheelchair. Or you're going to kill yourself. And that's what I feel about this woman. And I just want to hug her and say, it's okay, it's okay. But you just have to do what you have to do. And you come to the decision about
Yeah.
how slowly and do it at your own pace.
Elizabeth, when you feel like you need to vent, I want to know how you do that. And because specifically you're quadriplegic, you can't throw something at a wall. Your voice is sometimes doesn't have probably the
Right.
volume that you wanted to have. How do you vent?
That's an interesting issue because I tend not to. I don't like to perceive myself as a whiner, complainer,
Yeah,
and
same.
I want to have. I just want people to realize how terrific or how much I can do. So I have MS, but it's not very prominent in my life. So so I think it's my biggest issue is I really need to find someone who will let me really bitch and moan and you know not take it that seriously. So it's a problem.
Well, you did find people right here.
Yeah, right. Well, that you're who I complain to, but I just came off of a really bad bout of COVID number 2, second time, and it was very hard. And then I felt not so great, and I just it was a hard time. Not physically, it was physical, but psychologically, because oftentimes I feel I'm so happy with my life and I'm together and I'm joyous. And in the middle of COVID, we was almost 3 weeks recuperating. I hate myself. I hate everyone. I was so grumpy. not attractive to be around. So it's so up and down.
Mm.
And I was complaining to my husband that was after 3 weeks, we didn't get divorced.
He's still by your side.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
God, that's
That
don't
sounds
take
awful
that,
though.
don't take that for granted. I tell you that much.
Yeah.
I know when Annie made the comment about self-esteem, how they make you feel, and then listening to Katie also when she talked about pride, I think those are like kind of interchangeable with each other, the same. Because I know I'm a very prideful person too, and I know self-esteem is like just jacked up because of my inability to do things, which I understand. I can't do everything that I used to do, but I still want to. And that sucks, knowing I can't do it, but I want to do it anyway. And I know I shouldn't do it. Like Katie mentioned a scooter also, and I know Kyle talked about him having a wheelchair, and I know that when I met Elizabeth, she was in a wheelchair. I'm like, oh heck no, I'm not gonna go there. But it's so funny you mentioned that. My brother actually just brought over a scooter yesterday. To the house for me. Electric scooters, cool as hell and stuff. I'm not like, I ain't doing it. I ain't riding it, but I may have. But it's so nice that he brought it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely struggled hard when I made that decision. I was like, oh, but I'm only 38.
I know.
I'm like, I shouldn't have to do this. Like, but then on the other hand, it's like, do I want to keep doing things with my 5-year-old son and, having as much energy as that allows me? So he taught me how to drive it. He sat right, he's a skinny little thing. And so he sits right in front and he knows the controls, and he backed it up, parked it, everything. We went down to the park, and so his not caring, like he's a kid, like he's like, this is awesome, let's go do this. Like that was helpful. But
Yeah.
I just, if he could just always be with me, that'd be great.
How do you guys feel like the world responds to, bad moments or feeling insecure or self-esteem issues? It would be one thing if everyone were in scooters, let's say, like, would that make it different if you were just going like, okay, this is something I need now and I'm going to go do that? I feel like the world makes it harder for you to be authentic with your experience.
I don't think it's the world. I know for me, it's more me. Even caring if they care, which I don't think there's anything negative on that side. I think, but it's my thought of what they think. And even though they don't think what I think, because I'm caring about what other people think.
Yeah, I think it's that, but I also think it's like I think we're living in a web of, I think it can be hard in this world. I think people are not often very vulnerable and don't open up and are very closed down in general when we all walk around the world, like in an elevator when no one makes eye contact. You know what I mean? It's just, so I think, I don't know if our world initially deals well with vulnerability. And I think that's why it's scary. But I think once, my experience has been, if you can get over that and be vulnerable, then at least the right people will rise up and it allows them to be vulnerable too. And it can open conversations and deepen relationships, I think, and it can weed out the people that can't deal with that. But I do think I don't think in our culture, people ask for help very much.
No, we celebrate the Arnold Schwarzenegger's, God love him. But I just watched his documentary or docuseries, and he is, in his own words, is basically saying, I'm glad my dad abused me because it made me, work really hard and kick my ass as I got older. And it's like, okay, there is not an ounce of vulnerability in that guy. And we elevate that. We revere that. And I just, he's unique, but I think most of us are living with a lot more complexity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think everybody wants to understand it or, has a desire to understand it. So if somebody asks me, they're like, oh my God, I had no idea you had MS. Like I used to really pride myself on that. I'm like, yeah, I'm hiding it well, and I'm like,
Right.
but why? Why am I so hell-bent on hiding it when this is like, it affects me daily? And not that I need to be complaining about it or things like that, but, just kind of, I have a hard time I try to gauge how much people really want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Because
too.
it's the same thing. Like if you say you're from Chicago, for example, if you say you're from Chicago and they're like, where? And you're like, oh, well, the Northwest suburbs. Okay. You're like feeling them out. Like, how well do you know the area? And how well do you know the suburbs? And then I'm like, okay, Lombard. And then they're like, oh, so it's like, I do the same thing with MS. Like, oh, I have MS. Yeah, it sucks. It's whatever, and then I take it from there based on if they ask questions, or maybe I'm giving the vibe that like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people in our world don't want to know, right? That, oh,
Agreed.
I didn't know you have MS. Okay. And I stopped listening and I'm on to something else. But I think some do, but yeah.
It makes
I
people
wanna-
uncomfortable. Chronic illness just makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Uh,
does.
And
So-
that's what I feel like venting about when, whenever I feel like it's easier for me to vent about other people not responding the way I want them to. That to me, it's that's where I get riled up. It's like, come on, guys. And so Katie, for example, when you tell people about MS, have you had the experience where you even close friends or inner circle people where you just clearly get shut down, or they're not asking questions, or
not well, I do have a family member which my family's amazing, don't get me wrong, but they're like, everything's just chalked up to, oh, yeah, you have MS. You have MS. It's like, I'm still a functioning human being. Like I have other things that happen and it's not all because of MS, but I don't know. So I don't know if I'm answering that clearly, but
no, I think it actually is. It's like, you don't want to be just that suddenly this is your label and this is why everything happens in your life. It's because of MS. I mean, my goodness, we're nuanced people.
I would say I have a hard time, like, just within my own mind, like, God, I wish I could just feel like what a normal full-time working mom with a kid that's 38. I wonder what that person's body feels like. I just like, and I like fixate on that.
Yeah.
Maybe it feels the same for all I know on a good day. So they're still tired. They're still exhausted being a parent and all those other things. So I need to, that's my own thing that I wrestle with.
But it's not your own thing. It's a burden we all share, and we can deal with it. But I think to be kind to yourself and ourselves, which I often don't, I'm not kind to myself, but if I was good, I recognize having MS sucks.
Elizabeth, we kind of jumped over. I want to know how you're doing today specifically. We got deep into the conversation, but what's going on today? I know you're out of the woods with COVID, so that's awesome. But how are you
I'm fabulous. I don't have COVID. Period. End of question. I hate COVID. It was not fun, and I think we're gonna live with COVID till we die.
Yeah.
Mm.
I still haven't gotten COVID.
Me neither, Kyle.
The fuck?
I don't know.
I'm
Do you
not,
want it?
I don't
Knocking
want
on wood.
it. I just kind of feel left out.
I am psyched that I've knock on it.
You
I'm
guys
trying
might have those special antibodies that's just
Maybe we
good,
do.
you
Maybe
know.
that is it. I've heard
Well,
people
fuck
with a
you,
certain
Ann.
blood type.
Fuck you. I love it. Thank you, Elizabeth. What about Kyle? Fuck you, Kyle.
I'll say fuck you, Kyle. With
Oh, that's
love.
how, that's how you vent, Elizabeth. You swear.
That
I
was good.
swear.
Oh God.
You're a sailor.
I like to
Shut.
swear too. It's
And
true.
I think, I don't know if it's true, but the people I know who have a severe chronic illness love to swear with me. It's just a release,
Yeah.
not wanting to be crude or nasty, just have authentic communication of frustration and anger, bottled up anger.
Mhm.
Somehow it really helps for me to
Oh,
swear.
mhm.
I don't do it in my everyday life. But when I meet with you guys, oh God, I really want to swear.
It was the article actually in the MS magazine about your swearing that I was like, I love everything about this because I have the mouth of a sailor. It's bad. But the fact that you just let that go and then just have a good laugh about it, like that, I don't know, that really hit home.
Mhm. Yeah.
Totally.
I have an incident I'd love to share with you. I was in a professional meeting with someone, and he refused to look at me. And I said he kept looking at Lisa, and I said, "Well, it's my art. Why do I'm here, you can look at me." And I was brave enough to say, "Look at me," and he didn't.
Oh,
Looking at Lisa. I things like that. And then when I was getting my blood drawn yesterday, the wonderful woman kept talking to my assistant and not me. What arm does she want?
oh,
What do you think?
it's
What
infuriating.
we should do? I went,
Did you give them a nice fuck you?
no,
I thought that's where the story was going.
Yeah.
no,
Hoping it
'cause
would.
everyone's nice. I wouldn't say that. But I felt like it, but it would be wrong.
Hmm.
Well, it's wrong to talk to somebody else when you're the patient. You're right there.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh man. I mean, can we get started on doctors? Sorry, Amy.
No, I'm right there with you. I'd love to trash
Oh,
them.
they're so bad sometimes.
I
Oh.
know.
So bad.
Be right
Really
back, my
bad.
friends.
Okay.
Yeah, we can totally vent on doctors. They're horrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
And I've said before, like I like my current neurologist, but I've been through a lot that were not good.
Mhm.
And barely like acknowledged me. Like one guy was like typing the entire time, looking at the computer, never once like turned around. That shit's unacceptable.
Yeah. Stan, what's your experience with
I
doctors?
had a neurologist that I got him on accident because my neurologist was out, so they had scheduled me with another one, and it was fabulous. It was a great experience. So I switched from that neurologist to this current neurologist. Everything was good for years, and then when I decided I wanted to try the stem cell transplant, they were doing it in Mexico. They were doing it in Russia. They were doing it in some other country. I was just looking, trying to find some place that was doing it, had a good reputation. And so I had told him that's something I wanted to try because all these MS drugs weren't doing anything. And he was so anti me going. I'm like, dude, if my friend that has multiple sclerosis told me they ate blueberry muffins and it helped them out, I'm gonna try blueberry muffins. I know it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense, but I'm gonna try it because they're saying it's helping them. So I'm gonna try it. So the same thing with stem cell transplant. It doesn't work for everybody. And I understand that. I just want to try something
Yeah.
different. And I went, had it done after about I think my second year after stem cell transplant, my multiple sclerosis was still getting a little bit worse. So I decided at that point that I wanted to try to go back on some of the MS drugs in order to help. And he was such a dick.
Yeah.
When I went back, I said, hey, I said, you can be my neurologist after I get back. I said, because I'm still I believe in Western medicine, but I also believe in, again, blueberry freaking muffins. If they work, I'm going to try it.
Right.
And so I just want to try it. I'm not saying it's not medically, I understand, but I just want to try something different. So anyway, I went and seen him a few years after I got back. And he changed, I felt he changed big time, because I was in an appointment. The appointment was lasted like an hour and 15 minutes, which I know generally they want to get you in and out there within 30 minutes. Anyway, about an hour and 15 minutes. And then my wife had asked a question, could you possibly tell him what you would rate his EDS score at this point? And he was such a dick about it that he said, I've spent an hour and 15 minutes with you guys. He said, I'll have to get back with you on that. I'm like, gosh. I'm like, as a doctor, would you say that ever to any of your patients? I spent this much time with you. I just said, okay, that's cool. You know, and I switched after that, but because of that one experience with him, and I'm not saying he's an asshole, he's a dick or anything, just his response that day was definitely being a dick. And again, doctors they put their pants on the same way everybody else does. Which I understand he's not perfect. I wasn't expecting any perfection. But when he had to tell me how much time he had already spent with us, I'm like, oh my God, why would you ever say that to a patient?
Yeah.
You spent 15 minutes, you spent an hour with them. Would you ever say that to them? I just said, okay, that's cool. So I was done after that now on a new
You
one.
start to feel like you're the burden, you're coming
Yeah.
in and you're already got this very burdening experience going on. And then suddenly now you're burdening the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just disrespectful.
I wasn't expecting to hear that.
That's something you say in the lounge or, later on when.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
just from that, I was like, okay, that's cool. And it's not getting any better. And I knew, like I said, when I had the stem cell transplant done, I knew nothing to 100%, but I just wanted to try.
Where did you
Just try.
have a stem cell transplant?
I ended up going to Mexico. Actually, I went to southern Mexico. I went to, I can't remember the city I was there. I was gone for a month.
Okay, I went to Panama, and
Okay.
I went there twice, and I was there for about a month.
Okay.
At the Stem Cell Institute.
Wow.
It was almost 10 years ago now.
Okay.
Gosh.
Did either of you notice any benefit? I'm curious.
Absolutely. I thought it was after getting 92 million mesenchymal stem cells, I feel like my vision was restored. I was walking with no cane, no walker, no wheelchair, nothing. I was like, all right, this is it. I was like, oh, thank God. But after about a year, I did start to see decline again.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Are you?
Yeah, that was me definitely. Like I said, just being hopeful, especially at the very beginning, because I was taking so many meds to help me sleep. Because I couldn't sleep and everything. So and then I was totally off of everything because they want you to do like a I don't know, like a dry washout period, I guess you call it. We take no meds, no drugs or anything for like 3 or 4 months before you go, which I did. I came back. I was taking nothing. I was able to sleep. Everything was good. So I guess I was like you, Kyle, at the very beginning. I'm like, okay, this is doing something. Just give it time, give it time. And then about 2 years went by, it seemed to aggressively get worse.
Were you guys, and when you got back from the procedure, did you go back on MS medication or no?
I
did
not.
I did not.
I went in 2014. And yeah, I stopped. I don't think I did another MS drug until 2018, 2019.
Did you not want to, or do they say you shouldn't?
I didn't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's bitch about MS medicines.
Yeah.
And first, I
They
just want to
don't
bitch
work.
about having to get up from my MS Confidential to go to the fucking bathroom. So annoying.
Yeah.
I feel you. I wish I didn't, but I do.
So if we're gonna bitch about medicine,
Yeah.
I'm on Ocrevus
Okay.
now. I was taking Copaxone injections daily for like almost 10 years. And then I switched to, well, in the latter years, I switched to the 3 times a week, like larger dose. And that was worse because then I had to think about it. I'm like, what day is it? Ugh. And then
Right.
like just the injection site reactions were worse. So anyways, now I'm on Ocrevus and I do those infusions, but I don't know, maybe my neurologist hasn't heard somebody else say this, but like, as far as I go, I'll get my infusion and then I have to time it perfectly for where I'm going to get it in the week so that it doesn't mess with work and I can die on my own time. And so it's like, I have to get it on a Wednesday because then the next day I work while I get it. And then the next day I feel good until about 2 p.m. and then the decline starts. And then the third day I am completely laid out. Like I just need to lay in a dark room. Nobody talk to me. I can't function. And then I slowly come back up to life. But after I had COVID, Elizabeth, did you get that antibody that they have for immunocompromised
Monoclonal
people?
antibody? Monoclonal
Yeah.
antibody? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've tried everything.
So I tried that too. I didn't see any difference. Like I still felt like I was at death's door with COVID when I got that. But my infusion was 2 weeks later and I had 0 downtime. I felt amazing. And I was like,
That's
who's in
interesting.
research? I need to report this. Like if I could
Serious. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, if I could get that, that was the
Wow.
only difference.
That's
That's
interesting. Yeah.
really
So then the
interesting.
infusion after that, I was like, all right, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm gonna feel good. And then no, it was the same decline. So that I thought that was interesting. And I was like, I don't know who to give this information to. Like,
Yeah, that is interesting. I did Copaxone for a long time too, and then it stopped working. And then I've done so many different ones. But with the Copaxone, the thing that was annoying is that I get migraines. I got them before, but when I was on the Copaxone, they like ramped up where I was getting like a lot, like 15 plus a month, and it was
my
like
God.
really like debilitating. And I kept
Mhm.
telling the doctors, like, I think this is maybe a side effect of the Copaxone, like my threshold for getting the headaches has gone down. No, it's not a side effect. For 3 years I did it. And then I went off of it because it stopped working. And then my migraines got so much better. But like, unless it's like written down as a side effect,
I hate
they don't
that.
believe you. Yeah.
If it's not a reported side effect,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
virus or something, or it just doesn't exist. Yeah, I hate that.
So all 4 of you are on, or I mean, all 5 of you are on some form of medication.
No.
Now
I
I
just
am.
recently told my neurologist that I don't want to do the infusions anymore because I was doing Ocrevus,
Mhm.
but after every time I get an infusion, I notice a drop in my physical abilities pretty quickly. I don't know if it's causation or correlation, but I don't want that shit.
No.
I feel like there's a decrease and then there's an up. and then you go back down again and you have to wait several months for your next infusion.
Yeah.
Are you going to switch?
I don't know. I don't feel good about the MS drugs.
Mm,
I feel like the stuff that I do with my integrative doctor kind of conflicts with those MS drugs, the immunosuppressants,
And they don't work well to get, like, the integrative doctors aren't having conversations with your primary
no.
care physicians
no,
or
I always
neurologists.
I asked them. I was like, all right, so do you think this is good if I take this infusion, this drug, this? They're like, well, that's not my area of expertise. So like,
Yeah.
so I'm just on my own here. Just
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, when my physician said you really are going downhill, he didn't quite say it that way, but he said you have progressive MS
mhm.
and no more treatments, no more infusions. Because when you're in the progressive category, generally they don't want you to do anything. And
Mm.
I came home and I drank a bottle of wine. I was so happy. I love progressive MS. I love when that day was one of the best days of my life because then I didn't have to worry, should I do this drug? Should I do that drug? And
Yeah.
I always was vigilant in reading all this literature and what's the new quote unquote cure. And now I stop reading as much because there's nothing to be done.
Yeah.
But I find that kind of liberating.
Yeah. I
Yep.
get that.
There is a surrender for sure
Yeah.
to just
Yeah.
allowing the experience to be there. And, the doctor's all going, well, yeah, this is all you've got. So, you really didn't
Yeah.
have an option. And
it kind of feels like they're shooting in the dark sometimes. They're like, maybe that they don't really, I cut you off, Kimberly, I'm sorry.
No,
They don't
they're
really
totally
understand how they work. And
Right.
they have like pretty major potential side effects sometimes. And it's for like an uncertain benefit because we really don't know. It's
Right.
hard to measure if it's helping or not. Anyway, I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, we get to be lab rats and
Yeah.
and we're human being lab rats though, with relationships and jobs and children, everybody that's affected by including ourselves, that are affected by all these decisions that the physicians are making. So yes, it's frustrating. I'm aware of the time. I just noticed, and Lisa, she usually jumps in, but she's here, but she's not, and that's fine. But I want to make sure that I want to just do a little summary for you guys. We could just keep going. And I'm so glad, Katie and Stan, that you joined us today, because I really feel like you brought some great points and dynamicism to the conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But let's just hear. So these are some reasons, first of all, that I heard about not wanting to vent. We don't want to be whiners. We don't want to be complainers. We don't want to feel selfish or appear selfish. We want people to realize how much we can do. And we want to, kind of show that side of ourselves. And then, as a consequence, here are some other things that we experience that we do want to vent about. And that can include just the symptoms themselves. We want to vent about the fact that it affects our pride or our self-esteem. We want to vent about the fact that we are losing our mind sometimes and nobody around us notices that. We have this inability suddenly to not do the things that we used to do. We hate asking for help. We want to vent about the fact that it's not all about MS. Sometimes we just have bad fucking days, and it's not, we're not going to always blame MS. We want to vent about the fact that we don't know maybe what it feels like to be normal. And we'd love to know what that feels like. We want to vent about our doctors. Doctors suck. Some great doctors, but some doctors really suck. And last but not least, we want to try the fucking blueberry muffins.
I love that, Stan. That was so great.
You don't suck, Annie. You definitely do not suck. And not all doctors suck. Just
Yeah.
that was
Oh
just
yeah,
my
no worries. I
experience.
don't even,
Yeah.
I like don't identify with that. I
Yeah.
identify more as a patient. So
Yeah.
don't.
No, I just couldn't imagine a doctor telling you how much time you spent with them.
I know.
I was just like,
I know.
oh my freaking God.
Yeah. We've
That
all
was
had
that
Stan.
that was a great summary, Kimberly.
There's more, that you guys
That
all
was
shared, but it's nice to sometimes hear that coming back to us. And I find it also kind of interesting, guys. We have an audience today, but nobody chimed in. And I think it just is indicative of this topic. It's hard to vent. So
It's
to our
so
audience
hard.
members, we hear you, even if you didn't want to write it down, we hear you. And it does suck and it's hard. And venting is healthy. So hopefully even just listening to this conversation will be of service to someone.
Well, I think that was
Wow.
a big part of it where I don't think any of us want to complain that Elizabeth talked about that also about not wanting to complain and stuff like that. I know for me, that's a big thing. I just don't want to complain about nothing, even though it sucks. I don't want to say nothing about nothing. I feel like my wife and I, we bought an e-trike for me because I can't ride a bike anymore. So we bought an e-trike, which is very cool. It's so awesome because it makes you pedal and you have the e-bike option on it. And like a dumbass, I went on the sidewalk, which I never should have been on the sidewalk. I should have stayed on the street, but I got on the sidewalk. And how do you fall off of a trike? It's 3 freaking wheels. How do you fall off? I fell off and
Oh,
everything. And then the cool thing about it, I did have 3 people stopped and they all asked me if I need some help. And I said no and everything like
Of
that. And then 2 of
course.
them drove off. One guy came back anyway. He
Oh,
said, I know
that's
you
so
said you need no,
nice.
I know you need no help, but I couldn't just leave you there and everything. I said, it's cool. So he helped me get back up and everything. Everything was cool and got
That's
me there. But
nice.
again, just not wanting to complain.
Yeah. But I was thinking just like of the one time, like I think Kyle, you were having a shitty day and you reached out to this group and we all like had a conversation. So like it's cool if we can do that for each other
Gosh,
and
Yeah.
the
say,
world of
hey,
good.
I'm having a shitty day. Can you guys call me? We'll call you.
It made
Absolutely.
all
We'll call you.
I
Great, you
feel
guys.
like I can swear with you guys. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I love you guys and thank you for sharing everything, sharing your guts with us. And
Thanks, Stan and Katie.
yeah, thank you to
Absolutely.
Stan. and
Thanks,
Katie.
guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Really
Yeah,
cool to
for
have you guys
sure.
with us. Yeah. See you next month.
See you later.
Next month.
Bye, everyone.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Take care.